I would rather have 42 million Americans go without food than to give one illegal immigrant baby food. Seems to be the sentiment of the MAGA party.
So here's the tip. I was talking to my parents about my sister's arrival via a flight for something that's coming up in her family. I don't want to get into details. And I had been reading about and hearing about all the air traffic controllers that are leaving work, quitting, working second jobs, that kind of stuff to make ends meet because they've already missed a paycheck and they were looking at missing a second. And a lot of them have families and friends. And I figured with the ratio of Americans that live paycheck to paycheck, a lot of them had to be really having a hard time with this, right? And somebody, I'm not going to get into who, but somebody in the know was talking about how it's not just the air traffic controllers at the airports you're taking off and landing on, it's all the ones in the middle too you have to be careful of because you have to coordinate the whole trip to make sure no collisions in air or whatever. And
So you're saying like we have an like a plane takes off from LA and gets halfway through the country and whoever was directing him from LA, they may not have a counterpart in the middle.
No. Like, let's say the guy in Nashville, let's say it's a LAX to New York.
Okay.
Right? That's a common one. And somehow they managed to fly over Nashville. I don't know if that's real, but let's just use it for an example. If Nashville shuts down because of lack of people, who is going to be there to air traffic control the Nashville airfield in order to make sure any flights in that operating space don't collide? Well, none.
Are you talking about shut down completely, or are you talking about not
If
being
there's not
full
enough
staff?
air traffic controllers to help coordinate flights that are not landing at Nashville or at all, like let's say there's not even enough for a critical mass to stay in air at all or land, the whole airport shuts down, not enough people. There's nobody there to make sure there's no in-air collisions. And there's been all this conversation around, well, get over it, pilots need to get better, blah, blah, blah. And that's all crap. We should just pay our air traffic controllers to be done with it. But anyway,
We should open the government.
so I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. Will the Republicans cave first? Will the Democrats cave first? Like, or are we going to keep this stalemate going? And I had been hearing and reading about we're losing them by the air traffic controllers by the day. And I was reading something like we have all-time numbers of them retiring day by day because they say to hell with it, move on. We are already 11,000 shy when Trump took office due to some shenanigans under Biden. Then the Secretary of Transportation went on and said he expected air travel to dwindle to a trickle between now and Thanksgiving if the government doesn't reopen. I'd also heard some of them talk about maybe they wouldn't get back pay for one reason or another. Some people talking about that. And I was in the sauna at the time that this happened, and a guy that goes to the gym there, and I know his background. I'm not going to get into it because I don't want to try to dox him or anything. He was giving his honest opinion, and I'm not going to slight him for his opinion on that. What I will get into is what I commonly see as what he said being a very real view of the Republican Party. So anyway, I got off the phone because I didn't feel comfortable continuing to talk about this in front of this guy because he's shaking his head. He's like, and he's
Yeah,
making
everyone
very
loves that public political conversation that gets sprung upon you, right? I know I do.
Yeah, I know. Well, I was in there first, but anyway. And I was like, what? Something the issue? He goes, they'll get back pay. I was in the military once and I got back pay. And I was like, that's not the same thing. There's a whole different regime. No, I'm telling you, they're going to blah, blah, blah. You're wrong. You're dumb. And I
Either
was
way,
like,
it
whoa,
was
whoa, whoa,
still
whoa.
wrong when it happened to him. It was still wrong when it happened to him. Like the
No,
government should
it
have been
was
open
wrong
to pay
that,
you.
right. So I was like, well, I'm not really worried about that. The back pay, I'm worried about the air traffic controllers and them reopening. I mean, if they'll just cave to the 40 billion for snaps, we can move on, or ACA or whatever it is, doesn't matter. It's 40 billion. That's all they're asking
It
for,
does
right?
matter though, because the government is shut down because
No, at the end of the day, the amount the Democrats were looking for was 40 billion. It doesn't matter if they were going to go take it onto a barge and burn it. That's what they were demanding in order to sign
the
the
Democrats.
bill. It doesn't matter what it was. It doesn't matter if it was to wipe their ass or burn
I think it does.
or
It
to
really
give to
matters. It's for healthcare for Americans.
for
I
the
think that matters.
sure. Well, it does to everybody else, but to the Republicans, it didn't matter in my mind. They
Right.
were fine giving 40 billion to Argentina, but not to pay for
Yeah, that is
the
ridiculous.
health and safety or food or whatever for Americans, right?
Absolutely ridiculous that we did that.
So I was like, well, why? I don't know why they just won't, cave on this. It's already been approved by Congress. The budget's already been allowed. Like,
Yeah,
they should just do what's already been dictated. And he goes, no, fuck them. We shouldn't do that. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, so what number of people on this program do you think are illegals? And he goes, why are you numbers to me, man? I was like, oh, so you're an all or nothing guy. And he was shaking his head. I was like, so you're okay with 42 million Americans going hungry so that we don't accidentally give or we don't give one illegal kid food. And he goes, yeah. And I was like, so what about the Americans? He goes, they can go get jobs. They can go figure out their own way. And his mind was aligned for me as how I read this. And I don't say that this is exactly how he thought. This is just what I got the impression
your
of was
perception.
the government shouldn't be handing out money to help anybody at all. Like none. No help whatsoever. No Affordable Care Act, no snaps. And it was almost
No
like a
unemployment.
survival of the fittest kind of thing. Like, if you can't do, you should die almost. And he was okay with Americans starving, 42 million Americans starving or not getting health care or having to spend a shit ton of money on healthcare they don't have, whatever the thing is. I just got so flustered at that point. I was like, I hate this mentality of it's my money given to the government. They shouldn't be taking it. They shouldn't be blah, blah, blah. And like, and forgetting that there are people on the other side who are going to greatly suffer because they don't have what they've gotten used to relying on or what they need. And I was like, well, what about the people that are handicapped? What about the people that are disabled? What about the
Elderly.
people that are elderly and literally can't work? He goes, fuck them. I was like, whoa, these are
Well,
American
okay, so
citizens.
but by that guy's logic, let's say he comes down with some debilitating disease, is he okay if we execute him? Like, he is no longer helping society, we have to take him out. That's
It
what it sounds like.
felt like a Hunger Games thing, like, "Good luck, buttercup." And what it kills me is when you extrapolate it out, what I hear, what I get out of this is, "Fuck everybody that ain't getting their own." And I heard
The "Don't tread
things.
on me," the new "Don't tread on me."
Yeah, yeah, and it was like, I don't care, he to me, he was saying he didn't care if kids starved to death. He didn't care if they died from illnesses and diseases were easily preventable. He didn't care. And this is my problem with so much of this party is like, one, they claim to be Christians. And like, if you look at the words of the Bible and Christ, he fed them, he cured them, he saved them, regardless of if they accepted Jesus or not, or Christ or not. No, sorry, if they accepted his God or not, or
Yeah.
what their status was. Like, he helped them because they're people. And then, but this guy's like, no, fuck them. Even if they're Americans, even if they're white, even if they're his religion, even if everything would make them MAGA and the same boat as him, fuck them, is what
Everything
he
you
was
just
saying.
said, like, makes me feel like how so un-American this person is. And he
Yeah,
thinks
I
he's a
like,
fucking patriot, and I think that is a huge sentiment, and it's a problem in our country. That problem is going down, you can tell by the polls, Donald Trump's polls recently, but still, there is that sentiment, and it's loud. It's in
but it
all the
was
comment sections. It's hateful.
And it was the exemplification. It was the perfect example of dying to own the libs.
Right,
Like,
right.
that joke that people, "Would you die to own the libs?" Is like, he's willing to sacrifice 42 million Americans to own the libs, is what I got out of that.
You know,
And he's willing to let babies die to own the libs or to not have his money go to the libs or to go to kids that need it. Like, to
and I
hell with it.
have
I was
a
like,
I have a problem believing
"What?"
that they're actually, like, they actually believe that. I think they feel like they have to say that when they have to defend their leader. I don't think
But
they believe that. I don't think in practice, when it came down to it, if
no,
there
but
was a
that's
real choice for 42 million Americans to die or we feed this kid, like, I don't think he would actually make that choice if it came down to real shit.
so it's a fine line.
I
Quiet
could be wrong,
complacency versus active maliciousness. But
right?
anyway, I wanted to iterate that when I asked him the question, like 42 versus 1, there was no hesitation. It was pure aggression, pure anger, pure righteousness, pure virtuousness of, I know exactly the truth. I know exactly what's right. I know, you're wrong, you're dumb, and you're not aligning. and like the head shake with it, the virulentlessness, the emotion that he was portraying, the way he said it was like, "No!" It was like
Like, it was
there was no
disgusting, like, "I can't
hesitation, there
believe
was
you
no
would ask."
remorse, there was no thought, there was nothing other than full out 100% committal to this belief.
Right.
And and I
Blind
made
faith.
sure to frame the question with children in mind, and that didn't even take a hick, and I didn't even slow him down to think about it. The fact that a child could starve to death didn't slow him down, didn't make him think about it, didn't reiterate how significant this decision was. Now, you were just asking about something, and I was like, there's a lot of people that will talk really aggressively online, or maybe in certain situations where they don't feel like there's any repercussions. But there's a very significant difference when you actually have to step up and act, when you actually have to step up. Like, I heard this one guy, he goes, he said he would love to go kill some of those illegal immigrants that were crossing the border. There was an incident where,
Who said that?
I'm not going to say, it was somebody I know, a
Oh, someone
very
you
proud MAGA person back during the first Trump administration, or somewhere around that time frame. And there was a live video broadcast on the news showing the edge of the fencing in California and Mexico border. It was like right up near the ocean edge. And immigrants were sneaking around and coming around, and news was there. And I feel like the police were there too. Like, it's been a while, but they were just busting through the gates and trying to get into the country and all this kind of stuff. And he goes, "Shoot them, kill them." And he goes, "Man, I can't wait." He goes, "Man, if I could enlist today and go there and shoot these people, I would." I'm like, "Holy shit." Like,
Where's the
these are
value for human
kids
life?
and women.
Or human life, where's the value for that? Like, how
And that's
seems to be
and
missing.
that's what is killing me. And I've given this a lot of thought, and I still don't have a grasp on it. And that is, the media has done a lot of stuff. It has caused people not to think, but to listen and align
Take
so that they
orders,
can
yeah,
be included.
take orders from media.
Brainwashing is the word I would use. I don't know if it's appropriate, but that's how I see it.
I think Fox News is at the level of North Korea right now, and Russia,
Yeah, I so
and
I
New
was
Zealand.
watching Fox News the other day because it was on, and I was at a place I wanted to listen to it because I was curious how the people around me would
I
react
watch it on
to it.
purpose.
And they said, "Thank God our leader, Donald Trump, is going to do this amazing
North
stuff,
Korea.
and we're going to be saved." And I was like, this sounds exactly like what I would expect the person that is hyping up the minister or preacher at a church to say. And I'm like, well, first off, the person you're talking about has been convicted of all these different things and accused of a bunch of other things. And like, we don't need to go into any of that, but like, this is not a person that I would put that level of faith in. Two, the things that he said he was going to do about the situation that person was talking about has proven, I knew was crap at the time, and it's proven to be crap now. And like, in third, news is supposed to be non-politically affiliated. It's not supposed to be, we're the Democratic news, or we're the Republican news, or we're the far left or the far right. It's supposed to
Objective.
be the facts, and then you figure out how you're supposed to feel about it.
Yeah.
And that's how it was 50 years ago, and even probably good 30 years ago. But today, it's all about, this bad person did this bad thing, and then this good person who's a saint did this good thing. There
Yep.
was Trayvon Martin is a great example of that, and I saw that, and I was just dumbstruck by it, and
Explain that.
and I got caught in that.
Explain
So
that
if
one.
you go back and look at the Trayvon Martin situation, which, if I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, remember the HOA guy? He was like neighborhood watch, and he was walking around his neighborhood, and there was a black guy in a hoodie, and he would confronted him, and he ended up having to kill him. He shot him and killed an unarmed black guy.
It was the kid in the home that was being built in Florida, right? Where, they weren't done it
He
was,
wasn't, to the best of my knowledge, they were just on the street.
I thought it was they accused him of going inside a house that was being built, I think.
Anyway, accusations aside, my best recollection of this situation was they were just out on the street, conflict happened. But anyway, so depending on which media source you get, you had the guy that did the attack looked like a church guy, and the guy who, or sorry, the guy with the gun looked like a church guy, and
Yeah,
the guy who
Fox
did
News
attack was
Fox
looks
News guy
like
with the gun was the hero, and on
and the
CNN and MSNBC, Trayvon Martin was the hero.
but the even the pictures they used aligned to what it looked like. So, like, on the pro guy that did the shooting, he was like the father they did a father figure picture and family and all that kinda stuff, and the other guy, they had him look like he had just gotten out of jail, like, big and thuggish and had his gear on and all that kind of stuff, right? But then the other side had the other way. They made him look like he was crazy. The guy with that did the shooting was crazy, and they showed a kid's photo from like school of Trayvon Martin. And you just realize like how biased it is. And then they're like, well, he did this thing and it was so bad. And you're like, okay, that sounds bad.
So kill
But when
him?
you actually start to get into it, it's like, okay, both sides had stuff going on that I wasn't even aware of. And I'm not going to go into the right or wrong or who was right or like that's irrelevant to this. This is about media bias. So when I actually found out how big Trayvon was, how old he was, and how scary he would have looked to me had I been anywhere near there, man, that changes a lot, right?
Right.
Like I don't believe I could have fought him off hand to hand, just being honest. Now, on the other side, you had another guy who was walking around the neighborhood carrying a gun, had been supposedly called out several times for being overly aggressive. And he wasn't a police officer, he wasn't law enforcement. He was on somebody else's property and he confronted a guy and incited an incident because my understanding is he started
He
the
came out.
interaction.
Right, he went out after that.
He went out after him with a gun, knowing that he could kill somebody or have to shoot.
And
He
then said he had
interacted
to.
with somebody that wasn't directly causing him any serious life endangerment. It wasn't his home, it wasn't his property,
He
it
tried
was
to
just
be a
in the
vigilante. He was trying to be a vigilante.
I mean, in a lot of ways, yeah, right? So, like, okay, so this guy who thought he was, the righteous was out with a gun, confronted another guy that was big and scary. An altercation took place because they got in each other's faces for the reasons we just said. And then the one guy knew he's going to get beat in his head and shot the other guy. It's like, well, who's the actual villain here? And I'm like, man, this sucks.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
This is a situation that shouldn't have happened, and there's, like, a million different things you can think of that would prevent it, but, like, the guy shouldn't have been going around carrying a gun. The kid shouldn't have gotten into it with this guy, like,
Yeah.
and
There was
it's
another
awful
incident.
that it happened.
There was another incident like that where there was this a drunk person. He went through a drive-through and then he realized he was too drunk and pulled over in a parking lot and went to sleep. Cops came after him and tried to get him out of the car and bust him and shit, and a scuffle happened, and he ended up running, and they ended up shooting him and killing him.
There was another incident in
But they presented
Florida.
it, just like you said, differently on Fox and CNN to their media
Yeah,
bias.
and if you go to the guy that got, well, the knee on his neck until he suffocated,
George Floyd.
there's like George Floyd was lifted up like a saint by the left in order to attack the police state on the right.
Right, and I
But
don't agree with that. Like, he was definitely not a saint. From every all the reports, it seems like he
yeah,
was
once
not
you
a
got
bad guy.
into it,
That was the left's mistake there in messaging. Like, why we don't prop him up. We can say that that killing shouldn't have happened. Everything that happened there was wrong without putting him on a pedestal and making him a mascot.
and I want to reiterate, we're not attacking the left, we're not attacking the right. What I'm attacking is the difference in portrayal depending on the news source and
Right?
how it has greatly influenced our beliefs and has caused further separation in who we are. If the news had all said, let's go for Trayvon. Hey, this guy this old, was not part of any law enforcement, was patrolling his
24-year-old male.
neighborhood. He had a gun. He confronted somebody he didn't know. An altercation took place. This kid, this age, was doing these things in this neighborhood, and this is what happened. They got into an altercation. What's his name was, or I don't remember the guy's name,
It was
was
George.
in fear for his life because he was on the ground getting the shit pummeled out of him by the other guy, pulled a gun and shot him. Like,
There.
now we have facts instead of opinions, and that
Now I can
is
form my own
such a
opinion.
break. So we go back to the SNAPS thing or the ACA or whatever it is. Like, okay, if it's SNAPS funding illegals, you still have to get back to the part of why are they on it? Like, how are we helping them? Like, what's the background for it? What are they actually getting out of this? And
First
there's
though, where's
so
the
many.
proof of that? Because that's only been talk. They say that. Like, where's the proof that undocumented immigrants are getting SNAP benefits? It is illegal.
What? No, it isn't. It
Yeah, it is.
snaps eligibility for non-citizens. There are work requirements and non-citizen eligibility as of the big beautiful bill. So as of now, it
Oh,
is legal for illegal immigrants or for immigrants to be on. And it doesn't say they have to be legal immigrants. It just says non-citizens. Now, again, I am not an expert in this. I don't know what it means by can an illegal immigrant be on here, but I mean, it to me to say it's an all or nothing kind of thing is a baby in the bathwater kind of argument or a straw argument or whatever. And what I think a lot of people are forgetting is remember how we talked about um the COVID death numbers. And to me, this is parallel. So COVID death numbers are pretty traumatic. We looked them up. I forget how many it was. Doesn't matter. It was over 1,000,000. That's all I need to worry about for the argument. And then I said they did have doctors supposedly reporting, and I didn't read the interviews. I don't know what the actual citations are, but I do feel confident that doctors were told if somebody dies and they have COVID, report it as a COVID death, like a car accident, a heart attack, fell down the stairs, got shot, whatever. Now, was COVID the cause of that death? Kind of hard to tell, to be honest. Like if they had COVID
if
and
you
they died
fell
in a
down the
car
stairs and
accident,
died with COVID, you were probably a little fatigued and tired and maybe had a
exactly.
fever, like
If you got shot, like maybe you're acting weird, or maybe you were being a fool. I don't know. I can't determine that because it's going to be a whole variety of different. Or car accident could be the
variables, too
same
many
thing. Car
variables.
accident could be foggy had it. It could be like maybe he shouldn't have been driving. He didn't have a choice in his mind. Like, so how fudged are the numbers? And the answer is we'll never know. Like,
Right,
nobody's ever going to do that true audit and get into every single case and decide how much of a determining factor COVID was in those things. But a lot of people are like, well, anybody that didn't die from breathing died from something other than COVID. I'm like,
right.
okay, even if we take that as your marker in the sand, do you believe that there is at least one person in that million plus that died because they couldn't breathe anymore? And I know that to be true. So, yes, there were multiple people that died because they couldn't breathe anymore. Their oxygen saturation went too far and died. In fact, there's numerous reports of nurses discussing how much PTSD they're getting because they're watching these people that had the opportunity to take shots because this is like post like shots of vaccines going they begged to take the vaccine right before they died and they realized they were stupid because I remember that interview and I'm like wow this is amazing. So some did die directly related to COVID. Okay, so there's some in one category, there's some in another. I don't know what the real ratio is, but again, we'll go back to the original analogy of let's say it's 30% are not real. They're from some other reason, whatever, it doesn't matter. So it's not directly COVID, but just happens to have it. So 30%. So that means 70% are, which means that 70% of the 1 point whatever million or whatever the number is 700,000 plus died from COVID. And then the numbers fell off very quickly once you had a shot. So, A, shot was effective, got that number down. As soon as the shot started coming out, the number of people going to the hospital for COVID and breathing issues dropped off dramatically. It saved lives. So, COVID vaccine saved lives. COVID put people in the hospital. There's plenty of documentation. It's 700,000 people died. Therefore, it was deadly. All right, fine. So, take it back to the snaps. What percentage do you think is illegal?
Here, wait, I just looked this up. Illegal immigrants are not eligible to receive SNAP benefits in the United States. Recent
Okay.
changes in federal
So
law,
0.
specifically the One Big Beautiful Bill Act of 2025, have further restricted which non-citizens can qualify, explicitly excluding undocumented or illegal immigrants. So
All right, so
they are
that's
not
great.
eligible. If they're
All right, so
undocumented, not eligible for SNAP. So there's no reason to have the government shut down. These funds were already allocated for SNAP. The Republicans went in and cut it. There was no
right,
reason to.
so well, no, hold on.
Not
It
for
was
real.
still supposed to be allowed. Like a judge said, it's still legally allowed
2 judges.
even in the government shutdown. But anyway, so none. The answer was none. 0, right? So that means the 42 million-ish people that are on it aren't getting it because they just weren't gonna do the thing that was legally required to do. Was the 40 billion government shutdown 40 billion for? It was ACA, right?
What they're
Affordable
fighting
Care
for?
Act.
Yeah.
The
Uh,
40 billion is
the
for
ACA.
Affordable Care Act, wasn't it?
I think so, because that's the amount we
So
sent.
40 billion for affordable care. And this is what kills me. When you do the numbers, like the numbers are so small. It's ridiculous. But anyway, so this is for Americans to be able to afford healthcare to stay healthy and not die. They are they were already on it. A lot of them can't afford more. And let's be honest, insurance and healthcare has skyrocketed the last 10 years.
Yep, I
And
just got off the phone today for insurance quotes, some medical insurance for me and the kids, and it was, like, over a grand.
I heard multiple people from different areas of the country say that their bill went to triple or quadruple what it was prior. Now, so 40 billion to have people get access to be able to afford healthcare. Okay, why is this such a bad thing? It's not illegals because affordable care requires you to be a citizen to the best of my remembering.
Mhm.
So we're not talking about illegals.
Nope.
Why can't we just like if we can give 40 billion to Argentina to keep them from collapsing, can't we give 40 billion to Americans to keep them from collapsing? Isn't it America first? And
It
I'm like, even
funding
like
Argentina, the what
anyway,
did we do it for?
does I don't know. Is it not well, whatever. Let's not get into that. So 40 billion we can give to another country, but we can't give to American citizens
That were
so
already
that they can
allocated. It was already allocated.
but again, it's 40 billion. It's not like 1.5 trillion. It's not like it's illegals. It's American citizens.
Yeah.
And it's already been decided by Congress. It's already been allocated. Everything's there. They just decided to not do that. And they shut the government down for it. And they refused to open the government back up in order to do that. So a million people went without pay and or maybe even lost their jobs while 40
Argentina got hooked
billion
up.
went to Argentina instead to American citizens. And I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
And I think I now my personal guess is whatever it is. But like, I don't understand how, like, even with everything that's happened, Democrats still didn't get to 40 billion. They still didn't get the ACA extension. They
Right.
still didn't get anything. Basically just signing to get the government back up and running because that's worse in their minds than letting it stay down and trying to negotiate with people who don't want to negotiate. And now we've had plenty of episodes where we theorize why that is, but at the end of the day, the reality and the facts are Republicans didn't want to give. The government approved by Congress and whatnot $40 billion that they were supposed to give to Americans so they can have health care.
So they basically just threw a wrench in the gears of a machine that already worked.
Yeah. Because, I mean, if they wanted to reopen government, all they could have done is done that, or they could have broke the filibuster by getting together and overriding it, or they could have done a lot of different things. And in fact, there's a very real chance that even with the capitulation by the what was it, 8 Democrats, if I remember correctly, it still may not go all the way through to Trump signing it. Now, here's the hard part. If Trump doesn't sign it because he doesn't want the government to be open because Epstein,
Yep, for sure. That's gonna
then
happen
it
by prediction.
I don't know.
Hit subscribe if you made it this far in the video, please. Thank
I
you.
don't know.
Let me know your thoughts in the
Anyway,
comments as well.
the willingness to let people suffer so that they can be righteous was my original statement. And it seems like it's the media's fault and the lack of social's fault and the division based on everything that we're getting. And the whole reason we started this conversation was I had an experience where somebody was willing to let multiple people suffer and die to be right or to do what they thought should do, regardless of what Congress says, regardless of what is virtuous, regardless of what is Christian, regardless of what is, I couldn't believe that somebody that has lived through what they have lived through and done what they've done is willing to let children suffer and die potentially in order to have these over 40, like, just, it breaks my heart to see this.
Me too. Let me share with you how this is affecting me in my life. So I own a roofing company as well as the media company, and I am very active on social media, especially on Nextdoor and Facebook. And the last, I don't know, maybe month, there has been so many posts on the Nextdoor app in particular of just families asking for the community to bring them food. Like, does anyone have any extra food they can stop by and grab? And I see this a lot, so much so that I actually screenshotted them yesterday to make a video about it because my companies are sponsoring a food drive from now until Thanksgiving where we're and I also started a GoFundMe. I will link it in this video so you guys can hopefully donate. But the GoFundMe is going to fund perishable items like turkeys, hams, stuff that goes bad. And then everything we collect from the food drive, we'll see how much we get and we'll put together packages for families. And I have a church partner that we're going to distribute. I'm in the Raleigh Durham Triangle area. So it's affecting everyone because there's a lot of people like me on the Nextdoor app that are counteracting all this hunger. Like, okay, what can we do about it as the community? What can we do about it? I can get food.
And then my mind was racing on this, and it's like, okay, so we're okay with aircraft or airport transportation shutting down so that one kid doesn't get fed or healthcare.
We're okay
We're
with
okay with the
planes crashing.
economy tanking and completely shutting down. We're okay with multiple families and businesses suffering greatly so that one kid doesn't get a meal or healthcare. And this was the like, this is what I took away from that statement. It's like, I'm willing to let every single person in the world suffer
To own
so
the
that that
libs.
one kid suffers.
It's to own the libs. Their whole strategy is built around that. Like, whatever we can do to piss off all the liberals in the world, that's gonna be our strat.
And it reminds me of the joke they started making that went around. What was it? Trump very carefully, and the Republican Party as a whole, called ACA, Affordable Care Act, the Obamacare. And he was talking about how bad the Obamacare was, how bad the Obamacare was. But we don't post Obamacare like Trump tries to name everything Trump officially. Obama didn't do that. So it was the Affordable Care.
Right.
50 some percent or 40 some percent, like the largest demographic on affordable care are Republicans. And I heard story after story after story going, "What do you mean I'm losing my health care? I thought we were only getting rid of Obamacare." And they're like, "Well, Obamacare is the Affordable Care Act." Shit. And that cognitive dissonance or lack of
Yeah.
information or the whatever it was like. And
Well,
then
it's got a million different names all across the country. People don't know.
this was the topper. I watched an interview they did within and the MAGA guy was so pro Trump. He said, and I quote, "Even if Donald Trump smoked crack with
Hunter Biden?
Hunter Biden, I'd still vote for him." I'm like, what? What? So you're okay with throwing Hunter Biden in jail, but you'll back Trump even for the same.
So are these MAGA fathers like about I remember this the guys that used to go to all the rallies when he first ran. Remember after the grab him by the pussy remarks, like they would interview these families like with the dad and he has daughter and they'd ask him questions like, "So you really like Trump?" "Yeah, fuck yeah, I like Trump." Would you vote for him no matter what?" "Yeah, I vote for him no matter what." "Would you vote for him if he murdered someone?" "Yeah, I'd vote for him." "Did you like that comment that he said about that young lady?" "Yeah, I don't care. That's just locker room talk." They just repeat what they're told to repeat. Hashtag MAGA.
It really usually just comes down to when will they break and realize that they've made the mistake? And
Right.
after listening to the person yesterday and posted this weekend and a lot of the other people I've heard in that same mindset, it's just stunning that they are so willing to let humanity suffer.
Yeah. Well, let's leave it there. I am fascinated to know how the government shutdown is going on in your communities. And if you're overseas, I'm sure this doesn't apply to you. But
What are you
how
talking
the
about?
SNAP benefits, what's going on in your communities because of this shutdown? I'm seeing it every day on social media. You guys have to be seeing it too. So if you
Good
guys
luck.
can donate to the GoFundMe, I will put it in the link in the show notes and the captions. I would really appreciate it. This money is going to go directly to my community in the North Carolina Chapel Hill area. But I suggest you guys, if you can, if you have means, do something like this in your community. It doesn't have to be a food drive, but what can you personally do to help someone else eat? There's a lot of people in our country that are experiencing food insecurity, and that is crazy for the richest company in the world. So, what can
Country,
you
yeah.
do about it? Can you do anything about it? I can, and I'm going to. So, hit subscribe. Let us know what you think in the comments. Let us know what's going on in your communities in the comments, and we'll see you next time.